right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone, and happy 23rd After Dark edition. I had a request actually very recently to check out this video from Rusty Buckets, or this is his one of his side channels, Little Rusty Buckets in this case, and this one is titled The Best NBA Performance I've Ever Seen. And I know we're talking about the 93. Why am I doing this actually, now that I think about it? Like, was this a troll? I didn't even think about it. I just thought this would be like really cool for you guys, but this sucks. Actually, this is gonna be hard. All right, I'll try to keep my feelings out of this one and just do this as best as possible. This is about the 93 finals, and what was said in the comment was, you know, me being obviously Jordan was my favorite player at the time, but I was a Suns fan, so I was really conflicted during these 93 finals. But at the end of the day, I was rooting for the Suns to win. So I do have quite a bit of insight on this series of what was going on at the time, and the comment was basically saying like I feel like you can add a lot of insight to this video from Rusty. So I figured, all right, let's do it. So yeah, I'll try not to cry like a baby in this one and stick to basketball. So anyways, you guys, happy 23rd. Maybe for you guys, not for me, but let's do it, guys. I'm linking the original video down below in the description for you all, so you can check out Rusty's channel, or his multiple channels at this point. And yeah, shout out to channel members. I appreciate you guys. I say let's get right into this one. It could be on the longer end, so no giggity, let's go.
Hello everybody, welcome to Little Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, all that stuff. If you did not check out my recent Discord hot takes and you saw me promote the Stephen A. Smith Hater Manifesto, if you didn't know already, I apologize, but that video has been delayed. Just some complications with the sponsor that are being worked out, but it should be going up on Tuesday the 7th, so still keep a lookout for that. I apologize for the rollout not working out the way it was supposed to. But with that said, in today's video, I want to talk about the 1993 NBA Finals.
Yeah,
I really got through this series quickly because it was by far and away the most enjoyable of the three that I've watched so far between 2011, 2002, and now this. We're going further and back in time every single time, and in fact, the next video I'm doing in this series is going to be about the 1987 NBA Finals. I also tried to organize my thoughts a little bit better because I had a lot of them, and I'm even going to be doing some clips in this one. So first, I'll just start with some general notes about both of these teams, and also go game by game, get into some of the clips, all of that stuff. So with that out of the way, if you were not aware, the 1993 Finals was a matchup between the Chicago Bulls and the Phoenix Suns, led by MVP Charles Barkley. His co-stars were Dan Marley and Kevin Johnson, although Kevin Johnson played kind of shit in this final, so it didn't really exactly feel like a co-star. That team got all the way to the finals. And then there is also the MVP factor of it all, MJ taking it personally and all of that. And he just went the hell off in this series. He averaged 41 points per game for this series. And to me, obviously, this is a very good series to pick out to reinforce this idea. But as I was watching this series, I was like, yeah, I really don't think there should be much debate about who the greatest scorer ever is. And yes, I'm the Kevin Durant hater, so that's a factor in it because most people think it's either him or Mike. But frankly, I don't really understand why, other than people just not watching 90s basketball.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, Kevin Durant, as far if you want to just say, like, it's hard because the thing is, the guy can shoot. But he doesn't. I never really saw him elevate his game when his back is against the wall, and that's what Michael Jordan did in '93. And I think that's what's really impressing you by watching this, is because you see a guy who's like, he's on Mission Impossible, and he just freaking delivers. KD can score from anywhere on the court. He just doesn't choose to do it enough, in my opinion.
Balls. Like I said, 41 points per game. And my main argument for Mike being the greatest scorer ever is if you look guys who won the scoring championship year by year by year, they do not win a championship. It is very rare to win the scoring title and do that at a championship level in the same season. Look at this. So we recently got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing it. That's the first time it has happened in a very, very long time. I feel like that should get highlighted a little bit more than it is.
They're comparing him to Jordan a lot, so.
We go down this list. Steph could have done it, but obviously they didn't do it that year. It might have been literally the first time. No. Shaquille O'Neal did it in the year 2000. So 2000 is the last time that has happened since Shai. And then it's MJ.
Yeah.
He has 4 scores.
Damn, man. Every single one of his championship years, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's
scoring titles before he even starts winning championships. But then, like, if I'm going down this list, yeah, literally none of these guys in the 80s won the championship that year. George Gervin, no. Maravich, no. Bob McAdoo, no. We're getting into the ABA.
That's interesting. George Gervin was winning scoring championships all the way up to 80. He was on Jordan's team in 86, but by then, different cat. He got older.
Now I'm not really going to worry about that. But like, okay, 71, Kareem did it. Kareem led the league in scoring, won the championship in 71. Elvin Hayes, Oscar Robertson, Rick Barry. Yeah, no. Did Rick Barry not lead the league in scoring in 75? So even Rick Barry averaged like 35 for the playoffs. So I thought he might have been there. But yeah, dude, like it just doesn't happen. You don't lead the league in scoring and win the championship unless you were Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, Shaq, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So if you were looking for some Shai propaganda, there you go. But like normally you cannot effectively score at this high of a volume at a winning level. It's kind of like, basically I would say Michael Jordan is like Magic Johnson with assists. Historically, no one has won a championship averaging double-digit assists in the playoffs.
Really?
Never happened before, or at least never happened where they did it in the regular season. I do think there's a year where it gets really close with Isaiah Thomas, but either way, double-digit assists are a no-no. It usually is a sign that your offense relies too much on one guy to set you up. But then you have Magic
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Johnson, who has 3 or 4. I think he has 3. One of the years he averaged like 9.8, but he has 3 years. One of them where he averaged.
And I think the reason why this worked out for the Bulls was because their identity was always defense. So it didn't really matter what the distribution of the offense was, in my opinion, because it's a triangle offense. So everyone's contributing, but Jordan's going to get you 30 no matter what. But really how they won their rings, in my opinion, and also how they beat the Suns. We all talk about the 41 PPG from MJ, but really they beat us on defense. You talk about why Kevin Johnson was a non-factor? Defense.
15 assists per game where he wins the championship with that. One of them where he averaged 15 assists per game where he wins the championship with that style. Michael Jordan is the only guy who can score a third of his team's points at a championship level. So, like, obviously championships ain't everything, especially in a scoring conversation, but I think it's proof of concept that, like, yeah, Michael is breaking the rules on how scoring even works because, again, historically, you don't win a championship if you win the scoring title.
And that's why they said back then, a shooting guard can't anchor a team to win championships, and that was a challenge that MJ took personally, as we saw, and he proved him wrong 6 times.
You are all-time great, and literally just 3 other people have done it besides for Mike. So yeah, that's my argument there. I also want to highlight his 3-point shooting. He shot the 3 very well in this series. He went 10 for 25, which is 40% on 4.1 attempts. Was very interesting to see him shoot that many.
This is the year of the shortened 3-point line, though, correct?
And it's also worth highlighting for his first three-peat in the playoffs, he shot 39% from 3 on 2.4 attempts per game. His mid-range jumper was fucking automatic.
Absolutely.
In this series, it felt like every single one of them went in. And I guess
he was driving to the basket at will too.
This is where we can get to some clips because game 5 is where he had 2 transition threes And it actually felt like he was taking like one transition three every...
Oh, I forgot. We're talking about 93. No, this is not a short. And I'm sorry. You guys probably already put your comments in there. Angry. This is 1993. Not a shortened 3-point line. I was thinking 96 for whatever reason.
Game on average. Like, he did it a lot. All right, here we go. This is semi-transition, so it's after a made basket, but defense isn't set. All right, I'm just going to pull it. That goes in.
To be fair, defense isn't expecting him to do a pull-up three.
Immediately. And this is the type of play where I'm like, yeah, this one's not a three, but Michael Jordan absolutely in a modern context would be a great 3-point shooter, because look at this. Yeah, absolutely. That is damn near a 3-point shot, but then also like just this handoff action, the way he sets up into the shot, just felt like very modern. Ball would be a 3-pointer back then if that were the case.
Oh, for sure. He would have just taken one step back.
And then here is his other transition 3-pointer. Scottie Pippen finds him as the trail man. Charles Barkley to his side, but he is unbothered, and he nails that. Ignoring his Wizards years because he was worse, but they only have 2 years of tracking data on Chicago MJ mid-range stats. But he shot 30% of his shots from 16 feet to the 3-point line. I know there is a good amount of disparity between a 16-foot shot and then like right on top of the line, like that second shot that I showed you, but still longer mid-range shots. And he takes a slightly less of his shots from 10 to 16 feet, and he shoots slightly worse. So the limited data would suggest that Mike is actually better at longer mid-range shots than shorter mid-range shots. So I think he'd be a damn good 3-point shooter. Like, I don't.
There's no question. Would he be able to adapt to the 3-point ball? Yeah, obviously. What, you think like he can't take one more foot back and be able to nail the same shot he's been hitting his whole career? Yeah, the thing is, he didn't want to shoot threes, and I'm glad he didn't. But if he was in today's game, he'd be drilling threes no problemo, especially with all the spacing they have. You know, he's wide open, easy.
Think that the people who go like, oh, Mike in today's game would be DeMar DeRozan, like, brother, absolutely not. The guy would shoot threes exceptionally well, just needs the context of the era and doesn't have it here.
Absolutely.
I should also add there is a context of the era for his scoring volume, because that's generally a little bit more how things were done back then.
I mean, you guys, when Jordan came into the league in 84, the 3-point line only existed for 5 years. It was not something anybody was really using outside of like, we're losing by 10 and we've got 3 minutes left in the game. We need to find a way to come back. Let's start chucking some threes. That's really what it was for.
I got to get back on topic and stop talking about just Michael Jordan. But yeah, Michael Jordan was fucking insane in this series.
Sure was.
Some other notes on the Bulls. Scottie Pippen was not any better than Horace Grant or even B.J. Armstrong when they were in the half-court offense. Especially there were any minute that was not featuring Michael Jordan, all three of Scottie, Grant, or BJ would be on the court. And who ends up getting the bucket, who ends up even being the main piece in the offense was kind of entirely up to whoever was feeling it that day. But Scottie Pippen does his scoring in half court, which all the way just reinforces my opinion that I've always had, that Scottie just does not have enough of a half court offense, half court scoring game to be a lead championship option, which is another take where I'm like, guys, watch the film. Horace Grant.
I agree. Scottie Pippen, great. He was fantastic, but he's not a leading guy. He's just not. He's a perfect co-captain in my mind. And yeah, he did score mainly off of just the natural flow of the triangle. Him and Phil Jackson, good combo.
Is a good ass player, super underrated.
Who?
I'm like, guys, watch the film. Horace Grant is a good ass player, super underrated. I feel
he did all the dirty work, man.
Like overall, Chicago's just clearly better offensively in this first three-peat than they were on the second. They leaned more on defense for the second three-peat. And between all five Bulls starters, Grant, BJ, Scottie, Michael, and even a little bit Bill Cartwright, all of them can hit a mid-range shot, which in the 90s is really, really, really good spacing. Obviously, by today's context, like, what do you mean all your five players can hit mid-range? Okay, like spacing, three-point shooting, yada, yada. But in this context, there was a lot of space to work with. I think I highlighted this in my 2002 conference finals breakdown, but I will say so much better organized the offense in 93 for the Bulls was as opposed to the 2002 Lakers by Phil Jackson. That was a very standout thing. Like, there is no oversell on the triangle. It is one of the most actually smart, clear-cut systems that existed at the time. And when I contrast that to the way that Phoenix played basketball, it looked like one team was playing freelance and the other like actually had modern basketball principles, relatively obviously. I guess that can bring me to some notes on the Phoenix Suns. I thought it was crazy how little Tom Chambers played in this series. He was an all-star 2 years ago. Richard Dumas,
I believe it was injuries at this point, injuries and age. He was not considered one of the major stars, but we still loved him over here. But he was not. He was old. He was old, and he was a little beat up by this point.
I might put it out before this. I might put it out after. I'm going to make a separate video about Richard Dumas and his background. He has a very weird and tragic career, but he was really great in this series. I never really knew much about him, but like, he's super athletic and he has a really good, like, mean float game.
I was a huge fan of Richard Dumas, and I assume we're going to get into more of Richard Dumas, so I'll save my thoughts about him.
Barkley, he takes it coast to coast a lot, more than you might think. His jump shot, pretty ass though. Figured him, I knew he couldn't shoot. I knew he was bad at 3-point shooting. I knew he was like historically one of the worst 3-point shooters ever. Of course, the fucking camera dies. We will be right back.
I was like, what the hell?
Where was I? Yeah, they were.
I thought my computer just fried again.
Been tracking his efficiency on jump shots versus everything else. And he was shooting like low 30s on jump shots and then like 65% anytime he was anywhere near.
Yeah, Chuck, the worst thing he did for us was, Chuck threes. And he had a terrible 3-point percentage. And he loved it, dude. He loved the transition three for whatever reason, man. And I think it's honestly because he was tired, because he was busting his ass, like boxing out rebounding 7-footers. The guy did a lot of work, but yeah, we didn't appreciate him bombing those threes that much, to tell you the truth, especially when we had Dan Marley and Danny Ainge, who we'd much rather be taking those shots.
The basket. I gotta say, I don't know much about Paul Westphal's history as a head coach. Just going off of this series, though, extremely questionable. Not only was the offense extremely basic and unorganized, but his rotations were extremely questionable to me.
Good. I mean, it's a good point to bring it out. Cotton Fitzsimmons was our coach throughout the entire 80s, and Paul Westphal took over, I believe it was the actual season of 92-93. I might be mistaken, and he might have taken over a year prior, but I'm pretty sure this was his rookie season as a head coach. And, with Charles Barkley, they led the team to the NBA Finals. How much of that was Paul Westphal? We'll never really know now, will he?
He went way too deep. They were playing 9 players. 2 of them I would not have played at all. They had Richard Dumas played like 27 minutes a game. Same for Danny Ainge. They should have been playing 35 plus minutes per game in this series. They were killing it all the time.
Okay, well, Danny Ainge was coming off the bench for Dan Marley a lot. They were sharing. They were splitting time, so it kind of depended on what was going on. What was the narrative back then was Dan Marley was considered a Jordan stopper. So we wanted Marley on Jordan, obviously. So that meant Danny Ainge was more so coming off the bench for that relief, because we already got KJ at the point. So we got Marley at the 2. You know what I mean? When it comes to Richard Dumas now there's some stuff that a lot of people probably don't know. Richard Dumas was going through a lot of drug addiction issues right at this time. We saw some of the signs during the finals, but once it all came out, like what had been going on, it became very obvious. Richard Dumas was not himself in the NBA Finals. He was high, he was high. So the fact that he still played pretty good in the finals is incredible, considering his altered state of mind. But yeah, man, he was incredibly talented. I was a huge fan of his right off the get-go, and I thought he was going major places. Addiction is a terrible thing, man.
I truly could not wrap my head around how little those guys were playing. In the case of Dumas, I'm like, okay, well, he's a rookie, so maybe it's just some anti-rookie bias. But Danny Ainge was like awesome every time he was on the floor. And I'm like, why is he playing?
Defense. Well, like I said earlier, I don't have to repeat it. Dan Marley better at defense. You got Michael Jordan at shooting guard. We got to do something about Michael Jordan. So that was the idea. Danny Ainge was a little older at this point, so he wasn't that good at defense anymore. But he could still, he was hitting that 3-point shot better than ever in his career. So what do you do? You know? But it's not like it really mattered, even with Dan Marley on Jordan. Jordan still had his greatest NBA Finals scoring output of all time.
So little. I also don't know why, again, Tom Chambers played so little when he was such a good offensive spark more often than not. If I were to run this Suns rotation, I would crank up Dumas and Ainge up to 40 minutes per game. And then I would just
then you got no Dan Marley in there. Like, I don't know if you really want to do that.
Okay, do we need more offense or do we need more defense? And then leave that up to Tom Chambers, West, and Oliver Miller. Like, they had a decent center rotation and then two guys off of the bench who should be playing otherwise. Other than that, it was actually kind of baffling. Not only did he played a bunch of guys who he should not have played for too long, he also had some really dumb late game rotations, especially in...
I just looked it up, by the way. In 92, it was injury stuff. He was dealing with knee issues, Tom Chambers, in 93.
Game 6. So I'm actually going to jump to that real quick just to highlight that while I'm on the point, but I have a couple of game-by-game notes that I want to point out as well. At the very end of the game, they go with a small ball lineup. Now, both Chicago and Phoenix went with a small ball lineup. So you could argue that he was trying to match Chicago's small ball. They played Horace Grant at the 5, Scottie Pippen at the 4, MJ at the 3, BJ and Paxton at the guard spot.
Wow, that's very small ball.
I thought that was a really fun lineup, a really good offense out of that group. But he goes with Barkley at the 5, and even more perplexing to me.
So Barkley and Horace Grant were already guarding each other. They were both the power forward position. So now if we're bumping up Horace Grant to the 5 position, it's natural for Barkley to follow suit.
Frank Johnson, who was not good, small guard, didn't really do much positive when he was out there.
It wasn't that good, but he whooped my ass 5-1 and 1-on-1.
I believe he's a vet, which is probably the reason why he was getting out there. The Suns are up 4 with a minute to go in the game while both of these small ball lineups are out. And Phoenix runs Frank Johnson instead of Richard Dumas. Frank Johnson is like 6'1", I want to say. Where are you? Yeah, he was old as hell. He was 34 years old, was out of the league for 3 years before this. He's 34, averages 14 minutes per game, averages 8 minutes per game.
Once again, Richard Dumas was going through drug addiction issues at this time.
In the playoffs this year. Why is he in at the end of the 4th quarter of game 6 in place of Richard Dumas, who, if you're gonna run small, how about you put the 6'7" athletic as hell dude with a 7-foot wingspan at power forward?
No, man, if I was gonna do a 93 Suns small ball lineup right now, I'd go Kevin Johnson. Let's see. Kevin Johnson, Richard Dumas, Danny Ainge, Dan Marley, Charles Barkley, off the top of my head. Because our big guys were big guys. So Mark West, too slow for a small ball lineup. Definitely too slow to keep up with that Bulls small ball lineup. And we can't have Oliver Miller out there. Way too fat, way too slow to keep up with that Bulls small ball lineup. So, yeah, that's probably the lineup I would go with. But considering Richard Dumas was having issues during this time, if I can't put Dumas in, then yeah, I'm probably going Frank Johnson. I hate to say it because I'm not 100% sure what this lineup is, but I think I might have just actually repeated Paul Westphal's lineup, which means I probably agree with what he chose.
Instead of running KJ, Ainge, and Frank Johnson, 3 guards who are like 6'3", 6'1", and how tall is Frank Johnson? Also 6'1". His nickname is Kermit. He's tiny. Why was he out there? I got to show the clip because the late game offense or the late game execution, it's also like, why you're up 4 with 2 minutes left, or was it even less than 2 minutes? It's with like a minute.
It's so funny. This is the most attention I've seen Frank Johnson get in a long time. And like the only person who ever brings him up is me because I got to play against him.
Half left. Why are you running an offense lineup? Why are you prioritizing the offensive side of the floor in this instance? So Frank Johnson's in allegedly because he can shoot, right? Well, here he is. Actually, it's literally 4 points with less than a minute left. They choked this game so fucking hard. Frank Johnson, supposed to be a shooter. He's wide open here and he misses it. And then on the fast break, Charles Barkley's all the way back here. There isn't any
Ainge is on Jordan. Interesting.
any fucking rim protection.
Yeah. They didn't see this coming. He hit him too fast.
And
so is that Marley?
Michael
on
just
Pippen?
walks it to the rim like it's nothing. He has tiny ass Frank Johnson to stop him at the rim, which obviously...
Well, because the defense didn't get set, Rusty. Like, let's look at the whole play here. Because that was the whole thing. Jordan beat their defense.
Open here, and he misses it. And then on the fast break,
because he just
Charles
takes
Barkley's
off.
all the way back here.
He sees the gap right there. From right here, he already saw the gap of where he's going to go. You're not facing MJ. So you're not facing MJ. The only guy who's set is the guy you're criticizing right now, which is Frank Johnson. He's the only one aware of what's coming his way. Now let's play a little forward.
Any fucking rim
Barkley
protection.
now just realizes it and calls it out, but it's too late. You know, we've got one step away and Jordan's about to fly by Marley. He can't adjust in time. And Frank Johnson is too far away to really do anything about this. Jordan just beat him. He beat all of them. See, yeah, Frank Johnson, at least he's the only one. This is not his assignment, but he was the only one who was getting in there to try to help.
Michael just walks it to the rim like
and like I said earlier, this is why we want Dan Marley on Michael Jordan, not Danny Ainge, because you saw how easily Jordan just blew by Danny Ainge here.
He has tiny ass Frank Johnson to stop him at the rim, which obviously he's not going to. So unbelievable choke there. Then they keep this lineup in. They don't score on the other end. And of course, this is where John Paxson hits his infamous 3. But I want to highlight that shot was only open because of this small ball lineup. MJ advances the ball to Pippen. Pippen turns around and immediately drives. And you see right here, Danny Ainge decides that he is going to play off of Paxson because I think they subbed in Dumas at this point, so it's still better rim protection than not. But he doesn't really trust Dumas to handle this 2v1 against Pippen and Horace Grant, which makes sense. Charles Barkley right here got blown by Pippen, so that also broke this play down.
Yeah.
But like, if they just had a regular big man in the middle, if this was Oliver Miller, like this wouldn't have been a problem. Ainge would have not had to rotate over, and Paxson wouldn't have gotten this wide open shot. So literally, the small ball lineup is why they lost.
Yeah, but would you really have Oliver Miller in there? Like, really? Again, when the tallest player on the Bulls with this lineup is Horace Grant, you're really going to have like 300-pound giant Oliver Miller in there? I don't know, man. I wouldn't personally. The only reason like we kept Oliver around was so he can body up with the biggest of the big men. And he did his best. I mean, good enough to get to the finals, but he wasn't exactly a good, talented center, nor could he run, nor could he really jump. So he was really just a body presence, just to give these big men a little bit of trouble. So once we take out a big man, and the biggest guy is Horace Grant, I don't understand why you would actually want to have Oliver Miller in that place. I would go small ball too. Like, we were a run and gun type of team with a lot of action on the offensive end. So you get rid of an Oliver Miller, and we're looking like the best form of ourselves. I'm actually more surprised the Bulls went small ball. Like, that's not something I would have thought of doing against the Suns, but it worked out. So Phil Jackson, he's God tier for a reason.
Like, literally, this reinforces every old head thought in the 90s. Why are you playing this small in this context? Why are you going offense first?
Because the Bulls did it first, so they were just matching the lineup.
Why would you put 3 6-foot-something guards in the rotation in this instance? Like, it's just absolutely crazy to me that this happened. Just a massive mistake. And yeah, I think I blame Paul Westphal on this loss more than anything else.
The front three for the Bulls is Jordan at 6'6", BJ at 6'1", I think, and Paxton at 6 foot, I think. So it's not so much different. It's just the fact that the Bulls won that I think is driving you crazy. But it wasn't like it was bad lineups. It was just the Bulls came in clutch. Jordan with that rebound and layup, and then Paxton with that three.
Else, at the bare minimum, they could have got to a game 7. I also have to highlight the 2-3-2 format's crazy. Very weird to watch that in real time. We're just getting to random notes at this point.
I agree with that, by the way. The 2-3-2. It's almost like the team with the worst record is getting the advantage.
We're going to go game by game here. And I also have a note just in general. The elbow band, the like Michael Jordan, Kobe elbow band, that shit was the shooting sleeve of its day. Because I counted Michael, Scotty, Grant, Barkley, Scott Williams, Stacey King, Danny Ainge, and Oliver Miller all wear elbow bands in this series. That is really 8 players, 4 for each team. Well, actually, I mean, it's 3 for the Suns, but whatever. Lots of fucking elbow bands is my point. And here's the game by game stuff. Barkley and Kevin Johnson had horrible games in game 1. Chicago executed way better, and yet it was only an 8-point victory. So I would say it's kind of an encouraging loss.
It was, yeah. Because going in, I mean, none of these guys have ever seen the NBA Finals except for Danny Ainge for the Suns. So always expecting a fresh young team or whatever. The first time you get to the NBA Finals, I expect you to lose game 1. Just like I expected the Bulls to lose game 1 in 1991 against the Lakers.
Game 2, Barkley has 25 points at halftime. Phoenix late in the fourth quarter. Oh, this is what really baffled me. And I have to ask, maybe if there's some old heads in the chat, old people watching
old head
this.
Here.
The Bulls theme song, you know, the intro song that they
Alan
play,
Parsons.
was that just a song that was used around the league at the time, and then like through the lens of history, we decided that was Chicago's song? Because Phoenix played it at home in crunch time multiple times. And I'm like, I don't think it's that significant necessarily.
Okay. Old head here. From the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, commenters. Yes, the Alan Parsons Project song, I believe it's called Sirius. Yeah, that was used for the Bulls. The Bulls were the first ones to utilize it in that way. But it became so popular that by the 90s, other teams had started using it, and I do remember the Suns were using it at this time too. So I'm not sure if there's other teams throughout the league that were doing it, but I assume they were, because this was kind of deemed like the ultimate way to do the starting lineups. I kind of wish they'd bring it back. In fact, that would be pretty cool.
But, like, I wouldn't play the hype song for my opponent's team in the fourth quarter of crunch time of the finals.
Fair enough, dude. Fair enough.
Like, that seems very stupid to me. Seems very counterintuitive to me. It happened in game 2, and it happened in game 6.
Man. Like,
in this final minute where the fucking Suns blow this game that they very easily could have won.
Fun tidbit, by the way. Alan Parsons is the guy who he was the engineer and the producer of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. And it was by doing that job that he thought about, like, hey, I could do this too. I want to have a band. So he formed his own band called the Alan Parsons Project. That band spits out this awesome song. Serious, I believe, is the name of the song. And that's an intro to one of my favorite songs of all time, Eye in the Sky. I highly recommend you guys look up Serious and Eye in the Sky. On the album, they flow right into each other. And man, awesome stuff. But anyways, music side bit.
They play the Bulls theme song. I'm like, yeah, of course the Bulls are going to come back. You fucking queued them up for it. Game 2, first game since 69.
It's like hitting the Rocky theme, like in like the beginning of a 10th inning or something. Like, come on, Rock. Da-da-da.
Where 2 opponents scored 40 plus in the finals. I heard them say that on broadcast. I couldn't believe that had not happened in, 24 years of NBA history.
Really?
It took that long for it to happen again. Last time, if I didn't say it already, it was Jerry West and John Havlicek in the 69 final.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And 69 finals. I think that's the one where Jerry West won MVP even though they lost. I'm glad I know about John Havlicek now.
Michael Jordan, I feel less now like Scotty or like Kobe and MJ are like that similar. Their mid-range game, obviously they're still very similar, but their mid-range games are very different. Like Kobe is not nearly as good at creating space on his shots. Like, he's known for the difficult shot. Mm-hmm. He obviously hits a lot of difficult shots, but I think the difference and the reason Mike just comes off as a way more efficient mid-range shooter is because he's really fucking good at getting separation. Yeah. Like, almost all of his shots don't have a hand anywhere near him. Like, he picks his spots really well. He knows when to elevate. He knows how to use, like, the drive to get the defender to put a foot back. Just exceptional stuff. Game 3.
I agree. Jordan was better at keeping the defender on their toes. He did more of a balance of attack the basket and then post and then, like spot up shoot to where an opponent never knew what the hell was going to come. And, that is one thing I do notice that Kobe didn't do as much. Kobe relied on his jumper a lot more, which is why I think his overall field goal percentage was lower. When Kobe got the ball, we knew 8 out of 10 times he was going to take a jumper, even if he had 3 hands in his face. We didn't know that about Michael Jordan. We didn't know what was coming next.
Bulls up playing them. Don't know how the Suns are going to make the comeback. That ends up happening in the fourth quarter because the Bulls go 1 for 10 at the start while Phoenix starts super hot. Also, Michael Jordan was bad in the fourth quarter, and this game went into 3 overtimes. He overall shot 5 for 18 across the fourth, and those 3 overtimes, he shot 1 for 10 in the fourth quarter. Also had a really crucial late game turnover. He made up for it in game 5 because he had 55 and tied the record. At halftime, MJ, 34 points, 14 for 20 shooting. They had 61 at half, the Bulls in general, and he tied the record that he himself and Isaiah Thomas had established previously for the amount of field goals in the finals.
Really?
Also in game 3, Dan Marley tied Michael Jordan's record for threes in a finals game, hitting 6 of them. So literally, game 2, first game since 69 where 2 opponents had 40 plus. Game 3, Dan Marley ties the finals record for threes.
Crazy.
Game 4, MJ ties the record for most points and most field goal attempts.
What a finals, baby.
In a half in the finals. It doesn't get much better than that. Once again, in this game 4, Michael was kind of bad. He probably shot, I think, like 2 for 5, 2 for 6 in that fourth quarter. He hit the one that counted the most, where he hit this, like, he ran into Barkley with the ball over here, and he just, like, flipped it up. It wasn't like a hook. It was more like his wrist just flipped around, and then he gave it the flick of the wrist. I don't know. It was a wild shot, but it was big. Hit an and 1 in that case, and that put them away. Chicago went 1-2 at home in this series. I also neglected to mention, this was the first time ever where a team that had home court advantage in a series lost the first 2 games at home. Phoenix lost 2 at home, then won 2 of 3 in Chicago, and then blew game 4. Oh, this is, if I was going to give any hit to like Michael's credibility for this series specifically, Michael got the Kevin Johnson matchup a lot and like intentionally. Like they put Kevin Johnson on Michael Jordan on purpose, like probably about a third of the time. And it baffles me why. because Kevin Johnson
I agree. He doesn't have the height. For me, it would just be straight up. Primary is going to be Dan Marley. Secondary is going to be split between Richard Dumas and Danny Ainge, depending on our offensive needs. If we need that offense, then I'm going Danny Ainge so we can get that 3-ball. And if not, then I'm going Richard Dumas. But yeah, I'd say 2/3 of the time it should be. It definitely should have been Dan Marley. KJ should have been guarding BJ Armstrong and John Paxton. So you bring up a very good point here, Rusty.
He's athletic and quick. He's more athletic and quick than Dan Marley. But Dan Marley was all defensive second team this year.
Yeah, KJ didn't have the height. Let's just cut through it. Frank Johnson and Kevin Johnson, they didn't have the height to match up against Jordan. It's like putting John Starks against him. And we saw what happened there. He shoots jumpers over these these shorter guys with at ease. So, yeah, Marley, Dumas, Ainge. That would have been my thing.
And he plays Michael Jordan's position, and he's like 6'5", 6'6". Like, I truly do not understand why Dan Marley did not get the primary matchup. Yeah, he's 6'6", 215. Like, he was an all-star this year. Also, just in general,
like 6'6",
I want to say
215 is literally like matching Jordan's body build, so I 100% agree with you.
Dan Marley is really underrated in general.
Yes.
I was calling him like the Klay Thompson of the 90s.
It was so sad when I did a reaction video about like how great Dan Marley was. This was probably like a year ago, and I think it got like 300 views. It wasn't sad because I'm like, oh no, I need more views. It was sad because I'm like, shoot, nobody remembers Dan Marley. You know, that was my wake up point. Like, everyone forgot about Dan Marley. Nobody cares about this guy. Like, I'm the only one who, like, even my own brother, when I brought up Dan Marley recently, he was like, man, screw that guy. That guy sucks. You know, I was like, what the hell? Like, he was good. We liked him, you know, but I don't know. Time is a funny thing as I get older and I see things change from how they were in the moment to, how we perceive them in our older age.
Dude could shoot the hell out of the ball.
He hustled, man. He played with fire. You know, played defense. He could shoot the ball, man. Like, he'd rebound. He did it all, dude. Thunder Dan, shit.
92 to 95. He shot 38% from three on 6.1 attempts. If you did not know, in the 90s, 6.1 3-point attempts per game is like fucking 12 today. Yeah, so the Kevin Johnson matchup baffled me. A lot of the times, Michael was just shooting a fadeaway, like off of the catch, out of the post over him, because he's like, I don't need to dribble or like do a shimmy or like set anything up. If I just elevate immediately, a double team can't come, and he's not going to be able to get up high enough to contest the shot.
Yeah, great assessment. Like I said, he treated it exactly how he treated John Starks. No hesitation, catch, fade away, easy clearance.
He, like, literally, I'd say like a third of his mid-range shots, if not more, were just, I'm catching it and I'm turning around immediately and shooting. So yeah, that was crazy to me. Why the fuck would you not go with Dan Marley? And if you're not going to go with Dan Marley was the primary matchup, but like, it should have been a matchup all the time. And if you're not going to go with Dan Marley, I would have gone with Richard Dumas, because Richard Dumas is tall and athletic and has a 7-foot wingspan. They put him on MJ in Game 6, but he didn't end up playing that much just because his offense.
To be fair, I did say Richard Dumas earlier too, but he might actually be the worst choice. We're going to put a rookie who's going through like drug issues on the GOAT in the NBA Finals. Probably not the best idea. I take it back. I would only split time between Dan Marley and Danny Ainge.
Was bad. He did have a game, in Game 5, he had 25 points on 12 for 14 shooting. Really impressive stuff there. Huge game from outside for Chicago in Game 6, 10 for 14 from 3. Just that's awesome. That's very, very, very efficient three-point shooting. Game 6 was Barkley's worst offensive game. I think he had his most rebounds in any game in this series with like 18 in this one, but his scoring game was really rough. But there are also two funny-ass clips that I wanted to showcase. One of them's more impressive than funny, honestly, but check this shit out from Kevin Johnson. This is honestly one of the most impressive things that I have ever seen an NBA player do. Charles Barkley hits the mid-range shot. The Bulls try and advance the ball up the court real far, but it gets intercepted by Keldon Johnson on the opposite hatch mark with his...
Wait, did you say Keldon?
The Bulls try and advance the ball up the court real far, but it gets intercepted by Keldon Johnson.
It's okay. I do this kind of crap all the time. Say what?
And on the opposite...
Is that really going in? No.
Hatch mark with his fucking back turned. He doesn't miss a stride. He doesn't like turn around and adjust. He just takes the ball and slingshots that bitch. Let me play this at half speed. He slingshots it and gets it right next to the rim.
Damn.
That is incredible.
That is
stuff. Man, that's when
he hit it in like that spot, where LeBron usually misses his threes. Where'd he go? Where's the ball? Where the ball at? Where the ball at? Where the ball at? Come on. Anyways, that was a waste of time. He hit it like right there. That's where LeBron likes to aim his three-pointers.
Man, that's one of the most impressive missed shots I've seen in my entire life. I was like, there's no way he just did that. Yeah, excellent shit right there. And then this last thing, maybe Rudy will cut it, but this is just something I wanted to highlight that Charles Barkley did. Misses the free throw. Oh, I don't really need playback speed of 0.5 for that. And then this is how he reacts.
Yep. That's Chuck.
That's rough, buddy.
That's Chuck keeping it light.
I would argue that's worse than anything that Ja Morant has done.
At least he's shooting himself as opposed to shooting other people like Morant.
Well, yeah, okay. Those are just some funny clips.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. This is a very long video because I had a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, this is fun.
This was a fun ass series.
Yeah,
dude.
It was.
Like, I gotta say to the youngsters out there, all my younger Gen Zers, because I am technically Gen Z, but I'm on the older side of that spectrum. I'm telling you, there's a lot of great stuff in old hoops too. I routinely get upset about the discourse about generations and stuff because I love basketball in a variety of flavors. And I very much enjoyed this 90s brand of basketball. This was a very fun series. I would encourage you to go check it out. I meant to say this at the top of the video, but if you want to watch the full series, I'll put this in a pinned comment. There is a YouTube channel called We Got Game that has uploaded a ton of old NBA games, but also specifically uploaded the entirety of this series. So go to that channel, go in their YouTube video search tab, and then look up 93. All 6 games are right there. You can find them. You can do it. I promise. You can do it. You don't need to ask me again how I watch these games. They're on YouTube. But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. Check out the Stephen A. Smith Hater Manifesto when it comes out. And that is it. Goodbye.
I've had a request to check out that Hater Manifesto too. When he's talking about eras, it's really cool because I remember commenting to Rusty, like it was maybe like 2 years ago or something, and I thought he was like in his 30s, so I was like talking to him as though he's like in his 30s, and he was like, bro, I'm 21 or something like that, like 21 or 23 years old. Like, he's actually very young. So I think Rusty's probably like maybe 25 years old at this point. So the fact that he's going back and watching 90s stuff, I give him a lot of respect to him for doing it. Now, I like all the stuff I'm like correcting or I'm talking about like here, going back and forth with what he's saying. That's just to like set the record straight, because he's literally asking a lot of questions like, why is this happening? Why was this going on? Whose idea was this? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to add the context. But I do really appreciate that he's watching stuff that happened way before his time. And he's, he gets an idea of what, some of us old heads are talking about when we're talking about the 90s and how great it was. So I got to give him props because he's absorbing the current product and he's also looking back at the old product. I try to do the same, I'm more of an old school basketball guy, but every other day at least I'm watching an NBA game from the modern time. And now I might complain about it. I might ask a lot of questions like, what the hell is this? Why would you do this? Blah, 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 blah. You know, and I get angry at the TV sometimes watching, you know, newer games, but I'm still doing it. I'm still making an effort to be a part of the game, you know, so me and Rusty are on opposite sides of this journey because I'm the old head who's looking back, but, you know, keeping one foot in the modern era. And he's, you know, a foot in the modern era, but he's looking back at the old times. So anyways, I just wanted to say that I do respect what he's doing here. And I respect that he's brave enough to talk about topics that happened before his time. Really, really cool. So, and he did a lot of good research, and he has quite a bit of an understanding of what's going on, of what went on in that series. So anyways, you guys, if you want to check out Rusty's channel, I know this is a long video. Anybody who's still with me, let me know in the comments that you're still with me to the end. I thought this was a cool idea. Like to have me come in and kind of commentate over what he's talking about here. I hope I did it in a respectful manner, because anytime I was like correcting or something, it was not in a way where I was trying to like speak over him, but just I was asked to come in here and inject some of my memories and some of my knowledge about that 93 Bulls versus Suns NBA Finals, and hopefully I did that. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out. Happy 23rd, everybody. I'll see you all on the 24th. This is a good time, and man, I love doing Jordan videos. Like, I absolutely love it. All right, I'm out of here. Guys, like the video on the way out. Hype the video on the way out. Hell, someone send this over to Rusty if you know how. And maybe he'll watch it, and it would be kind of cool if he did, because, you know, I'm seeing his perspective. Maybe he can see my perspective, and it's ironic. He'll never know I used to comment on his videos all the time, but I did. Anyways, bye everybody. Happy 23rd. See you on the 24th. We'll celebrate some Kobe stuff. Guys, be water, my friends. Peace.